Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. In today's video we're going to be talking about the Bad Batch Season 2, Rangers of the New Republic, Boba Fett, and more. So without much further ado and without any more jibber jabber, let's just dive straight into it. So we're going to begin with some unfortunate news for the Kenobi series, but great news for the Bad Batch. The other day we spoke about a new rumour that once again the Bad Batch Season 2 is going to premiere on May the 4th, and that, my dear friends, is looking more and more likely. Yesterday it was revealed that the Marvel series Moon Knight is not going to have a 2-episode premiere, and that means that its finale is going to drop on May the 4th. Now, even though it is Star Wars Day, Disney does not want clashing titles like the Kenobi premiere and the Moon Knight finale to fall on the same day, so Kenobi on May the 4th is looking out of the question. However, it's looking like the Bad Batch Season 2 premiere is going to fall on the same day as the Moon Knight finale on May the 4th. Now, if you're confused, the reasoning is as follows. As amazing as the Bad Batch is, it's not going to rake in the same numbers as Kenobi, and from Disney's perspective, it's less of a clash than if Kenobi fell on the same date as the Moon Knight finale. And the source for this is the Illuminati, and we already know that the Bad Batch is confirmed to be a spring release, and with LRM's recent scoop and from what the Illuminati are saying, May the 4th is looking to be the Bad Batch Season 2 premiere. And you know what? An easy solution to all of these clashes would be to start airing Star Wars on Fridays again instead of the new Wednesday release schedule. Now, having said all of that, we do have a very good update for the Kenobi series. Whatever the case may be, it's going to drop sometime around June. A keen-eyed user on Twitter pointed out that the description for the upcoming book Stories of Jedi and Sith, which drops on June the 7th, says, quote, "The book will release just in time to celebrate the highly anticipated rematch between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader in the Disney Plus forthcoming event, Obi-Wan Kenobi." So while May the 4th is probably out of the question, there is still hope for Obi-Wan to release sometime after Celebration at the end of May. So once again, as we got last year, the Bad Batch is looking for a Star Wars Day release date. Personally, I'm happy with it, as long as we get something on May the 4th, and as I find myself repeating over and over again, I wish Lucasfilm would just give us some sort of schedule, or at the very least, tell us when we can expect the next series after the Book of Boba Fett. And regardless of when we can expect everything, it's probably going to be a few months after the Book of Boba until our next Star Wars project. I'm happy to wait and be patient, I just wish we didn't have to speculate on when everything is going to come out. So now, my dear Mandalorians, we're going to move on to something that Chapter 5 of the Book of Boba Fett reminded a lot of fans about, the shelved project, Rangers of the New Republic. We've heard so many mixed messages about this series over the last few months, but the most concrete update was from Kathleen Kennedy herself, where in Empire magazine, she said that elements of Rangers would be incorporated into the other shows of the Mandoverse. And while some fans took this to mean that the show in and of itself is cancelled, that was never explicitly stated. After the departure of Gina Carano, we found out that the show was no longer in active production, and instead on the back burner. But when Kathy spoke on the issue, her words were taken to mean that this show is more or less dead. But some renowned leakers like Making Star Wars have stated that the show could very much still be alive, just with a different direction than what was originally intended. Since Cara Dune isn't in the picture anymore, if Rangers is going to happen, the story is inevitably going to be a bit different. And now we're hearing that Jon Favreau still wants to make the show, although it isn't going to be for a while. In any case, elements that would have been explored further in Rangers of the New Republic are still being mentioned in the Book of Boba Fett. New Republic X-Wing pilots Carson Teva and Lieutenant Reed appeared in Chapter 5, reminding fans that there is very much an interesting New Republic subplot that deserves to be explored in its own right. The Mandalorian Season 2 set up Cara Dune's spin-off with Carson Teva's proposal for her to rejoin the cause, but after Gina Carano was let go, any sort of New Republic spin-off seemed dead. But there are so many other elements of the New Republic that should be explored outside of Cara Dune, and what I'm saying is, the Book of Boba Fett Chapter 5 reminded us of how interesting an exploration of the New Republic during the Mandalorian timeline could be, and many fans, myself included, would be more than happy to see Paul Sun-Hyung Lee's Carson Teva front and center in a New Republic series, not to mention such a show could also explore the New Republic struggle to combat the Imperial Remnant, and eventually the rise of the First Order, and while that's much further down the timeline, it is going to happen whether we like it or not. So that kind of series, whether it's called Rangers or not, could very much still be on the table, and I for one am very much down. So now, my dear friends, we're going to talk about a possible big upcoming cameo for the Book of Boba Fett. We're just 3 days away from Chapter 6 dropping, Dave Filoni's big episode. Chapter 5 by Bryce Dallas Howard has gotten a lot of fans talking about the connections between Mando and Boba, the Darksaber, and who's going to be the rightful Mandalore by the end of The Mandalorian Season 3. Tons of theories have been swirling around, but in this update, we're going to be talking about a possible appearance in an upcoming episode. Specifically, the appearance of Han Solo. Now, we spoke about him a couple of months ago, but the rumours have re-emerged, and after Cinelink scooped that Luke and Grogu are going to appear in the next episode, even more reports of Han Solo have come to light. Notably, Harrison Ford has been credited for one episode on IMDb Pro, and while you might say that anyone can edit IMDb, the Pro version is for industry workers. But even so, before we dive into this, I will say it's not official, but the sheer amount of reports from various outlets have many fans wondering if it's true. As we know, there was a wild rumour that Harrison Ford did some de-aging filming in London for a Star Wars project, and not for Indiana Jones. At the time, we wrote it off as rubbish, but if Luke is set to appear in this series, then Han is a likely candidate, and we could also see Chewie and Leia once again with the help of Billy Lord. Now, while that would be a dream come true, we've got to keep our expectations reasonable. I've spoken in the past about why I think Han Solo makes perfect sense for a Boba series, and whether it's in this season or the next one, we probably will get him at some stage, and in 2 weeks retrospectively after the finale, we might come to realise that those wild rumours ended up being true. Who knows? But one thing that caught my attention a couple of weeks ago is the outlets called Viewer Anon, who state that there is going to be a sequel trilogy connection in the final episode.
Not true. That's impossible.
And while at this point in the timeline we're many years away from the sequels, Ben Solo is a very young child at this point, and if Han is going to appear, we could see Leia and a very young Ben Solo as well. If what Viewer Anon are saying is true, another option could be Ochi of Bestoon, who as we know was working for Kira during the time between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. As I say, take all of this with a massive grain of salt. Now, as we go into Chapter 6, we have massive expectations. This is Dave Filoni's episode, probably the most anticipated of the entire season. Now that Fennec and Boba have recruited Mando, he needs to make a stop to visit Grogu before he helps Boba with the Pikes. But as one or two of you pointed out, because Din rejected the credits from Fennec, I wonder if Boba and Fennec are going to use those credits in order to recruit some more muscle. They've got Mando and Black Chrysanthemum, but we could see them try to recruit some other bounty hunters, maybe some classics from The Empire Strikes Back. I also think in the last episode, Cobb Vanth is going to be an ally to Mando and Boba, and he fits in perfectly into this series. I can't wait to see how the last 2 episodes play out. I'm super excited. This is the way. But otherwise, my dear friends, that brings us to the end of this news update. If you guys enjoyed this one, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and a massive welcome if you are, and also be sure to check out my Patreon. The link is down there in the description, and you get access to over 100 videos not found here on YouTube. But until the next one, I'm Star Wars Meg. May the Force be with you always.